I support Trump, and believe it or not, I support Doge, Musk and his boys doing this Doge thing, cleaning out the government. It obviously needed to be done, but I do have some concerns, and these concerns are extremely valid. And I don't think many people really understand, like straight up, the story, like this story here. Okay, so I'm just doing this on the fly, so bear with me a second. I'll try and be quick and not fluff around too much. So, I'll cut a real long story short. And when you research this stuff, it's not actually easy to find, and it's not easy to find for a reason, but it does exist if you dig real deep. So, Yellow Pages is a partner with Google, and Yellow Pages looks after all of the New Zealand businesses for their marketing online. Now, that's a horror story when you dig into it with a Oh, never mind. So it's a horror story. All right, I'll give you a quick rundown. So Yellow Pages used to be owned by Telecom, which was owned by the Crown, or installed by the Crown. Then it was privatised, and Telecom was privatised, and everything was unbundled. So Yellow Pages became a separate entity. The telephone lines became another entity, and the minutes became another entity, and the data became another entity. So, and that way, competition could enter the market, supposedly. Okay, but behind the scenes, other things were going on that the public was not aware of, and anyone who came close to finding it out got shit all over and buried in the dust and the dirt, right? So um, this goes back years for me, and it's not about me, but the story is extremely relevant to what's happening today. So realistically, what happened was Yellow Pages was always the number one go-to for any new business or existing business or any big business in New Zealand as far as getting found by the public. For I want a plumber. I need to look up this. So I look up plumber in the book. Right, it used to be the book, and then businesses were paid to be listed in the book, right? And you could be at the front of plumbers or at the back of plumbers. You could have coloured adverts or whatever. Then along came the internet, and Yellow Pages was online, and then along came Google, or about the same time or whatever. And what actually was happening was Yellow Pages. No, this is very very hard to find, but it's true. Yellow Pages, um, they trumped up their, excuse the pun there. They pumped up their pricing, created a bubble. Um, with the book advertising, the print advertising, the old legacy media style, right? So print media, right? And they were charging businesses a fortune for this print advertising and putting the pricing up and up and up. And in the meantime, internet was evolving very quickly, and they were neglecting to inform their clients. I'll say customers because we're talking about IT and you have clients in IT. So customers, the businesses in New Zealand, they were neglecting to inform them and educate them about internet and how it works, and anything about it, and the importance of being on the internet, and the importance of not just being in a directory online, but also having your own website. They completely neglected to tell New Zealand businesses anything about that, kept them in the dark, and in the meantime, these big offshore brands were gaining momentum online in New Zealand as more and more people switched from using a telephone book to search for something and started using the internet. These particularly Australian brands, but also American brands, were basically stealing all the real estate. Not stealing, but they were acquiring all the real estate online, um, so that when these New Zealand businesses finally realised, oh shit, I need a website, I need to invest in money online, they found out one way or another that was the bubble, right? The bubble started to burst when all these businesses started realising, oh, we need to be online. And who did they run to for their online advertising? Yellow, because they trusted Yellow, right? They didn't realise Yellow had pulled the wool over their eyes. So now Yellow just keeps pulling the wool over their eyes, and I'm talking about years ago. So the New Zealand businesses are now gone basically because of this, right? So it's really serious stuff. So what's happened is all these offshore brands bought all of the New Zealand domain names .co.nz and .nz, and basically acquired all the customer base online for all of these New Zealand owned businesses. And New Zealand businesses were stuck with this print advertising. And in the back, meanwhile, Yellow Pages, when the bubble burst, actually just before the bubble burst, they sold Yellow Pages to the Teachers Retirement Fund of Canada. And obviously, people. This was all brand new, and to some people who weren't aware of what was going on, it was all very exciting. So the Teachers Retirement Fund of Canada bought Yellow New Zealand, thinking, "Oh wow, look at this thing! It's making all this money and stuff." But then the bubble burst, and the bubble burst, and when these bubbles burst, it's horrific because what a lot of people don't really understand is that when they talk about a bubble bursting, what's really happening, particularly in the Yellow Pages instance, is all the customers start ringing up Yellow Pages consultants, needing more consultancy time, customer service time to understand internet marketing because they're starting to realize, oh, no one's ringing me from the book anymore. Where's all the customers? And then one of their mates or kids or something says to them, oh, everyone looks online. So they ring Yellow Pages and say, hey, what's this online advertising? I don't know anything about it, right? And then Yellow Pages says, oh, well, what we'll do is we'll charge you $1 million and put you on our directory online and that'll fix the problem. So they go, oh, cool, man. So they sign a contract for a directory listing online, and of course it doesn't work, or it works a little bit, and then the business finally gets the balls to ring them back and say, hey, it's not working. What are these websites all about? And then Yellow Pages says, oh yeah, we do websites, and then sells them a one-page piece of shit website, right? So, oh yeah, that'll fix it. But see, these problems never fix it because it's bullshit. It's just it's an ongoing scam to try and cover up what they've actually done. Now, the issue that I have at the moment is that you have now what you have is Yellow Pages has basically sucked all the money out of New Zealand as a partner with Google, like charged phenomenal amounts of money to be listed on Yellow and a preferred partner with Google, right? So Yellow was a front that ripped off all the New Zealand businesses on behalf of Google. So in business, companies do that sort of operation so that Google can say, hey, well, we didn't know Yellow was doing that. It's not. We didn't know how much Yellow was charging. We didn't charge that much. We charged this much. So Google can sever off that arm, the marketing arm for them, right? That's a typical move by bandits in business to do that sort of thing, to distance themselves from the problem, right? So protect themselves. Now you can say this is all clever and stuff, but it's not. It's like the world's largest theft that has taken place. And New Zealand is. I'm just simply explaining the New Zealand version of it, but I can guarantee if you look, it's happened in America, it's happened in England, it's happened everywhere. So this is how they've siphoned all the money out of these countries, and in the meantime, I'll say stolen everyone's data. So yeah, you got the social media issue where everyone's privately and personally put up all of their information. Then you got the business aspect, the commerce aspect of it, where businesses. Now this is real interesting shit, right? Because yeah, I currently just mined a bunch of data out of Yellow, right? I just showed you that in my last video. And Yellow could send a bunch of lawyers my way and say, oh, you just stole all of our data, right? And then I say, well, it's not your data because who paid for the data? Well, this is where things get real interesting and the legalities come into it. And you can either stand up for the lawyers and the establishment that basically stole everyone's money, or you can stand up for the people that have killed themselves because they had all their money stolen. And that's quite a serious issue. So I put my foot down on some things because I know people have killed themselves over this because I was in the Christchurch earthquakes. I ran a wee directory against Yellow Pages and I spoke to hundreds, if not thousands, of businesses, particularly in the Christchurch region, who were only too happy to jump on board with me. But there was one guy in particular, I want to tell you this sort of story. He was laughing at me when I rang him and said, hey, you should join our directory. It's only a couple of $100. Yellow Pages is charging $50,000 or whatever they want to charge. Whatever you want to give them, they'll take it. And he laughed at me and he was like, oh, I just had Yellow Pages here today, actually. This was just after the earthquake, right? He goes, I just had Yellow Pages here today. And they said, I don't have to pay my bill. So, fuck you, is basically what he said. And I was like, oh. In other words, he was like, I love yellow. And I'm like, and don't believe me, I never got that much. But I got off this one guy who was laughing at me. He was a pest control guy in Canterbury, right? And anyway, my company started doing real well, started making all this money, employed all these people and stuff. Completely forgot about that phone call. A few months later, I finally had offices up and running in Wellington. And one of the girls comes running up to me with the phone, and she had this look on her face of shock. And she's like, I've got this grown man on the phone crying. I don't know what to do. So I was like, oh shit, give me the phone. So I took the phone, and it was this guy. This is a few months later. And I don't know if he realised it was me. What had happened was one of my telemarketers had rung him. He was in tears, and he was venting to her in tears, and then she gave the phone to me, and he was certainly crying, and he started telling me the story, and I didn't realise it was him straight away. And I said to him, look, he said what had happened was Yellow Pages had initially gone to him and said you don't have to pay your bill. And you're talking thousands of dollars, man, tens of thousands of dollars. And for a small business, it's a big deal to be forking out that sort of money every 3 months to some muppet company like Yellow. So anyway, what they'd done is they'd gone back to him a few months later, and I think it might have been 9 months later, I'm not sure, but they'd gone back to him, and in Christchurch, don't forget, we just suffered an earthquake, right? So things were pretty bad for businesses, man. But I digress. So this guy's in tears, and he says what happened was Yellow Pages initially went to him and said you didn't have to pay the bill, but then what they did was they started coming at him months later saying, no, we just mean you didn't have to pay the bill now, as in back then, but you still have to pay the money, you still owe us the money, with interest, because you haven't paid it on time. This guy is in tears with me because he wanted to leave this family business for his son, and anyway, I said to him, look, mate, I said, I'm really sorry this has happened to you. And I realised at this point, because I said, what sort of business you got, And he says, oh, it's pest control. And I clicked, and I was like, it's that guy that was laughing at me months ago. And but I felt sorry for the guy. I wasn't laughing at him. But I didn't know what I could do. I said, look, mate, I've got to be honest with you. My business is only new, my directory, and the idea of it is that you put a couple of $100 in now, and it will grow to be competition with Yellow, because Yellow is unfortunately a monstrosity of a thing. But if everyone in the New Zealand chips in a couple of $100, we can build it up as a New Zealand owned and operated directory with New Zealand call centre staff, right? And I said, but I can't guarantee if you give me a couple of $100 now that you're immediately going to start getting business. Unlike other directories, they'll tell you, man, yeah, we've got all this traffic on our website and everyone uses our directory, and look at our reports that are full of bots. They don't tell you they're full of bots. People don't even know what a bot is, right? But they show you these traffic reports with these pumped up numbers, and that's how they sell these things for $50,000, $100,000 a listing, right? That's how they get away with this shit. And I've seen it with my own eyes, so don't try and tell me it's not true. And it's not just Yellow that have done it. There's a few others that I know of that have done it as well. And this is only one scenario. Anyway, the Teachers Retirement Fund of Canada bought Yellow, and the bubble burst, and because the income wasn't coming in, or the expenditure on customer service and everything was so high, the Canadian government had to bail out the Teachers Retirement Fund. So basically, and when you look into who owns Yellow now, or well, a few years ago, it was the banks. The banks bought it. So this was an operation done by the banks. And they used it as a vehicle to suck all the money out of New Zealand. And now the issue is, this is the issue now. Now you've got the Americans who did this. Google and that, right? They did this. They are now under attack from all of the people who have basically been stepped on, and like myself. And I've supported Trump all this time. I support America because I love America. I was born there. But at the end of the day, I've got some serious questions about this shit. So now you got Trump and that going, oh, we're going to protect Google and that, right? And it gets a bit tricky for me because I'm an American citizen, and I would like to think these guys are going to stick up for the little guys like me that got stepped on by Yellow Pages and Google and that, right? For selling like real consultancies, real information, and at low cost. Years ago, I started doing that in competition to these guys. And that, of course, made businesses more aware of how these things work. And then when Yellow came back at them to take more money off them, they started asking more questions. Like, and Yellow Pages consultants didn't even know how to answer these questions because they were thick. They didn't know about it. They were blindly stealing money off these people. So, so my point is, now we're at a point where you've got all the data has been, I would say, stolen, right? You could say collected, all right? The data was collected legally by Yellow Pages for Google, and they've handed all the money and the data over to these companies like Google, right? The banks, in cahoots with the banks and all this, right? The establishment, like this is large scale shit. And now you've got and now so what's really happened is they'll say they own the data, right? Oh, we own the data because we did it legally, right? But here's what most people don't really stop and think about. Who paid for all that? Who paid for all that? The people I spoke to on the phone all day, every day. The plumbers, the electricians, the builders, the seamstresses, the florists, people that grow the flowers, the corn, the wheat. I spoke to all of those people. It's what I did, and I passionately helped them. I loved doing it. Made me feel good. Made a lot of money doing it at the time. All right. But my point is, they pay a telecommunications provider for a telephone number. The telephone provider provides the number, but the business owner pays for it, right? Then they pay Yellow Pages to list that phone number in yellow with their business name so they can be found. Then they get charged bank fees and accountancy fees and legal fees to run their business. They pay the government not just taxes, but they pay all these fees to have a business. Just to have a business cost you like $200 a year just to register the company name. Right, then they employ all the locals to work for that business. This has all been stolen, and all of the small businesses have paid for it to be stolen and sucked up to these big corporations. And these big corporations are now in bed with companies like Google. So, okay, I support Trump and all that, and they want to protect America, but at the same time, I'm like, well, fuck, Google and Yellow stole everything off us. And what's New Zealand doing about this? Because don't think I'm stupid, man. There's a new telco company over here called One, right? And I'm sure that all of the resistance is in bed with One. Now, what is One? I haven't looked into it, but I can guarantee it's got something to do with Elon Musk and his Starlink system. So, in other words, a whole bunch of money got stolen, or everything got stolen off us, right? People got stepped on in the process. People, no doubt, killed themselves, like the pest control guy. They've lost their family, generations of business gone, handed over to these offshore companies or a couple of big New Zealand families, and now they're handing all of that ownership over to people like Elon Musk and Google, right? This is why Musk doesn't want me on X, and everyone's celebrating this shit. So, really, there's a bunch of bandits. There's a bunch of different bandits. Some of them stole some money. Some of them stole other money. They were probably competing against each other to an extent. Now they've just all gotten together. And they're like, oh, well, let's protect everything that we've got. I mean, this is what it looks like. I mean, Trump sounds great, what Trump's doing and Doge and all that, but is it really going to benefit someone like me who got stepped on? I mean, I'm an American citizen in New Zealand. I can't even use Grok. I'm banned on X, but I'm an American citizen. Where's my freedom of speech, bro? And then yesterday I decided I'd use Grok because even though I was banned on X, I discovered that I could still use Grok because I was whinging about that. So someone opened it up to people with banned accounts. You can still use Grok because I was making a fair point that anyone doesn't have access to AI is getting left behind in the dust. I mean, good luck with your business, whatever your business is. Good luck with it if you're not prepared to at least use AI as an assistant or a tutor, or to keep an eye and evaluate what the competition's doing. You are gone burgers, mate. So anyway, I got on X and started using Grok, and I posted an error code. I posted an error code into Grok to find out what it was about. And next minute, you're not authorised to use this service. The fuck is that about, bro? You can't say you're an American supporting the First Amendment, and you're going to take all the money off these thieves like Google and that. When you're in bed with them, you're literally in bed with these guys. It's fucking unbelievable. And now we've got these new, I say in quotes, new companies like One, which was 2 degrees. So my 2 degree SIM card is now switched over to One, right? So I haven't looked into it, but I can guarantee it's tied up with Musk and his Starlink. And everyone's cheering it on, like, yeah, and yeah, don't get me wrong, man, on one side it looks great. But meanwhile, there's guys like me out there who I fought fucking hard, man, to fucking save all these businesses money over the years. Got fuck all out of it. At the end of the day, I got shit on by the media and that. I'm not crying about me. I'm sure I'm not the only one out there, right? And we're just getting left like, hopefully this guy just fucking dies. Hopefully these guys just fucking die. So we can carry on with our fucking mission to Mars. Bro, it's fucking sick and twisted, mate.